I knew nothing. No. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, Jamseed Chronicles. My name is Lydia. Thank you so much for joining me today. In today's video, I am going to be talking about my very first experience commuting, which was brutal. And so this is going to be a little story time. Get ready with me. I do have a couple things I need to get done today before I head off to work. So get something to eat, sit back, relax, and let's get into the story time. I want to put a quick disclaimer out there. I am no professional makeup artist, okay? I'm working with what I've got and the skills that I have presently. Well, I became a flight attendant sometime back in before COVID, about a year before COVID happened. I was working for a regional airline, which I will not say. Well, I was working for this regional airline. You know, things seemed to be going pretty okay at the time. However, I was very unprepared to be a flight attendant. I actually wanted to become a pilot. That was my ultimate dream, and it still is, but you know, life happened. So after becoming a flight attendant, you know, I was doing the normal stuff. I was looking up videos. Yeah, I watched quite a lot of videos, okay? And I was just watching them daily, like daily. I thought that I knew what I needed to know. I feel like there's a lot of topics that happen in this industry that is not being addressed or talked about. And you have flight attendants that are quitting within a number of months, you know, or they're leaving an airline and they're going to another one, which is perfectly okay. But what's not okay is people quitting the industry altogether. So this airline that I was working for, they did not allow us to commute, okay? I was not commuting because I always flew in the day before my reserve block. And mind you, by the way, my entire time I spent at this airline, I spent on reserve. Okay? I was actually stationed out of Chicago. And it was really sad for me because I was living down south at the time. I lived in Texas. And so it was like, oh, it was bad. And it's not something they talk about in training or anything like that. They don't I don't think they try to prepare you enough for that stuff. Mostly because they have the expectation that you will move to base. And I was not about to pack up my entire life and go move all the way to Chicago where I had nobody, I knew nobody. I'm not doing that. In order to get the job, you have to agree to move to base. But it's like after I got the job and I went to Chicago, I was like, no, I'm not moving here. You know, and I would miss my family way too much to do something like that. So I didn't think to look up, hey, you know, look up any videos about anybody commuting or what it was like, or, you know, and I didn't see any videos like that when I was searching, you know, for flight attendant lifestyle. The mess of the mess. I'm stationed out of Chicago, and it was about 3 weeks after graduation that I got my very first trip, your IOE trip. So that's the trip that certifies you as an actual flight attendant. So it would be 3 weeks before I get called. So 3 weeks without pay. And I went off to Chicago. And guys, I have another story time about what happened to me while I was there. Okay, but that's coming in another video. So I went off to Chicago and I stayed in a Motel 6 because it was near to the airport, and it was relatively cheap. And I just needed some place to stay for the night. So I caught a Lyft to the Motel 6, and I basically stayed there for, well, I didn't actually stay there for the full night. I ended up having to leave the Motel 6, and thankfully one of my roommates from training, she also had her IOE that same week as me, within days, like a couple days of mine. And so she had used her hotel nights to come into Chicago because they give you 3 hotel nights. I called her frantically and she was like, yeah girl, come on over, you can stay here. So I had some place to stay when it was time for me to do my IOE. I passed and everything. I came back, and at the time, I only had enough money to pay for a crash pad, like pay full rent for a crash pad. I didn't have enough money for a deposit and all that stuff. I only had like $300. Mind you, guys, I have not been getting paid this entire time, okay? I only had like $300 to put down on a crash pad, and nobody would reach back out to me and so forth. So I started looking for crash pads, and I really didn't have any knowledge about what these things were. There were people who wanted deposits and all that stuff. I didn't know anything about hotbed crash pads. I didn't know where to find them. I get back from my IOE, guys, and the kid has nowhere to stay. I have nowhere to go. I have nobody in Chicago that I can turn to. None of my classmates that I knew of were staying in Chicago that night, because they were either away on their IOE trips or they were already finished with them and gone home. And I'm thinking it's gonna be easy for me to go home. I'm thinking, and at that time I only had United benefits, because all the other airlines that we were partnering with, my benefits for them didn't kick in as yet, so I could only take United home at the time. United has a few straight flights out, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's my ticket home. And if anybody knows anything about Houston, them flights are always packed. 9 times out of 10, they're always packed. I don't understand why everybody's trying to move into Texas. We can't all live here. We can't all live in Texas, okay? I come, I list myself, and I'm there, I'm on standby. And if anybody knows anything about United standby list, is that it's long. Their employees are not just traveling by themselves. They traveling, it's everybody and their mama, their sister, their uncle, their daddy, their grandpa, their grandmother, their dog, their cat, their friend from down the block, this person that they never met before, but now they have benefits. I'm talking everybody, okay? They don't just travel by themselves. I said what I said. I'm in this uphill battle against all these people on the standby list, and I don't get onto the flight. I don't get onto the flight, and I'm super unhappy about that, okay? The next flight came. I didn't get on. At this point, I am past sad. And at the time, I didn't think to call my instructor. The last flight of the night comes, and you guessed correctly, I didn't get on. Now I'm in full-blown tears. So I didn't get on to any of the flights, and now I'm stuck in Chicago, and I have nowhere to go. I have nowhere to go, nowhere to stay, nowhere to lay my head for the night. And I'm thinking, I don't want to sleep in the airport. I did not really know much about this industry, and that before you come into this industry, you need to have savings. You need to have some type of money stashed away. I ended up getting an Airbnb, and I ended up having to order a Lyft. This driver gets to me, and his car reeks of weed. You know, so he drives me to the location of where the Airbnb is. And this Airbnb is actually on the inside of, I actually thought I was in Texas for a minute, because the Airbnb was on the inside of a gated community. I didn't realize like we had to enter a code to get into this community to get to the actual house. And so he's already starting to throw a fit or an attitude. We put the code in, and the GPS is lost. Okay, let's talk about it. The GPS is lost. And so what he had to do is he actually had to switch the GPS from car mode to walking mode, as if you were on foot. And that's how we were able to find the house. I got up super early, I got myself together, and I decided to order my Lyft. Guys, I forgot what happened the night before, okay? Totally forgot about the issue with the driver finding the house. So I'm ready, and I have my bags outside. I order my Lyft, and I didn't pay attention to the type of Lyft I had ordered. The driver, he pulls up and he calls he starts calling me. And so I'm just like, I don't see this guy. Soon from now, that would turn into him yelling at me. And so I'm telling him that I'm outside. The morning when I woke up, it was actually raining sleet, like it was sleet rain, or yeah, it was sleet rain. It's freezing. The temperature had dropped so drastically over the course of the night. I did have a jacket which the company gave us, but I was really unprepared because the boots that I had, they weren't meant for that type of weather. I only had these little half-dead gloves, these little small dollar gloves. Here I am outside waiting for this Lyft driver, and he's at the top of the gate. He called and he's getting upset with me, and I'm telling him, okay, just wait, I will walk. I will walk. I'm talking about 5 to 6, 7 minutes to get to the top of this gate, speed walking. I have this little umbrella with me. I have all my bags, and I'm pleading with him not to cancel the ride, and he does cancel the ride on me, guys. So on the way walking up there, I am hysterical. I'm in tears, I'm crying. It's freezing cold. I am freezing. All my luggage is getting wet, soaked. I order another Lyft. I walked across the street, and they had like this little shed. Something just said to me, call your lead instructor. And I called, she didn't pick up. Under this shed, and I'm still getting wet. My bags are still getting wet because the shed was broken, so rain was still pouring through the shed, and I'm under there with this little old umbrella. The Lyft comes, and this driver, I had to tip him. He was the best of all three of them. And guess who calls at that moment? My IOE instructor. I'm just like bawling my eyes out on the phone. At this point, guys, I was feeling really discouraged, and I was talking about quitting. She basically says to me, are you done? And I'm thinking, you got some nerve. No, I'm not done. I said, yeah. She says to me, what was all of it for? Let's say you quit now. What was all of it for? And she basically was saying to me, what was all that training for? It's not like you've been through the rigors. It's not like you have been through all this stuff a million times, and now it's just getting to a point where it's frustrating you. You just started. Quitting is not the way out, because at the end of the day, you're gonna have a story that will help someone else who either is going to go through the same thing you went through, is going through the same thing that you're going through, or has been through the same thing that you've been through, and your words are just going to be words of encouragement for them, because this industry is hard. Your first year is going to be the hardest year that you'll ever have to encounter. She said to me, go into the crew lounge. Here's what you're going to do. If you don't get onto any of the flights today, you're going to go into the crew lounge, and you're just going to go into the quiet room, okay? You're going to put down your bags, you're going to go in the quiet room, and you're going to stay in there. I didn't know I could do that. We're not supposed to be like living up in this crew lounge. I did end up finding a crash pad after that. Luckily for me, I did end up getting onto the very first flight out, and so I didn't end up having to do any of that. A few months ago, for the very first time, I had to purchase a ticket in order to get home, because I was battling all these standbys, and obviously I'm not gonna win. So I just want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I had a lot of fun creating this video, and if you guys do want to hear more about my experiences, if there's anything that you caught that you want to share, please leave it in the comment section down below. If you do like the content, go ahead and like that. Hit the like button. Yeah, hit the like button. Stay safe out there, guys. Bye.